October in 2007, there's a huge tornado breakout. Our group is Charles and me. It makes me dizzy. What we're going to be talking about is the description of the weather type of phenomenon, the events that happened during that outbreak, October 16th, October 17th, October 18th, and my birthday, October 19th, 2007. The weather, really what happened there was, let's see, we want to talk about how a tornado forms. When does it occur normally? Where does it occur normally? And what causes a tornado to end? How does a tornado form? Many of you know that warm and cold air collide, yes, but during a tornado, what happens, the warm air and the cold air collide and it causes the spinning to form horizontally, and then hot air forms an updraft and it pulls it up toward this into the center of what becomes the center of the tornado is a mesocyclone, and it gains more strength. The low pressure goes down and it causes a tornado to spin. So one problem, we don't know how the tornado is, they have so many different sizes of funnels. It depends. Maybe if it's lower pressure, it causes it to be larger or smaller. I don't know. But anyway, the scientists really don't know that either. So. Tornadoes normally occur, the highest number of them in April and May and in June also. Okay. Let's start with June. In North America, it's kind of cool in June, but the weather is getting warmer. Warmer air comes up from the Gulf, and it pushes in, and the cold air coming from the north kind of go into battle in the spring, and in June it kind of dissipates. So in the summertime, there's more warm air, and a lot less tornadoes for the wind because the winds aren't fighting each other so much, and the wind kind of backs off in Canada. So, and in the fall again, the cold air takes over more, and it causes more tornadoes in the fall. So, in the average in the U.S., the most tornadoes hit in the south central and on the Great Plains in the Midwest, and quite often in Florida, because there's so much cold air and warm air fighting down there. And also in the mid-central because of the air from the Gulf and the cold from the north. I've noticed that some places have no shade at all, but they also have tornadoes there too. There's kind of like a rash, what they call a rash, in some states. So even in Maine and up in different places like that. What causes a tornado to end? It's interesting. Today, when I was checking things out, the tornado is caused by warm air colliding and with cold air, right? And when the tornado ends, it's because the warm air. Well, when it starts, it's because the warm air is on the bottom and the cold's on the top. But then it kind of takes reversal, and the warm air goes to the top, and the cold air settles to the bottom, and it causes the tornado to dissipate. The events that I really want to talk about in 2007, these were all the states that were impacted by tornadoes at that time. Texas, Mississippi, Kentucky, Michigan, Indiana, Illinois, Minnesota, Tennessee, Florida, Wisconsin. There were a few other places too, but that was where the most of them were. On October 16th, there was a huge system that developed over the North Pacific, a cold system, a low front, and the warm air came pushing up from the Gulf in the east. It's like 60 and 70 degrees. I bet many of you kind of enjoyed the weather because it was Indian summer at that time here. On October 17th, the system from the northwest passed through the Rocky Mountains, and it gained strength by the warm air and the moist air from the Gulf of Mexico. It all pushed up, and the system, the cold system, passed the Rocky Mountains, and so the system had a lot of, still a lot of energy from the cold air in the Rocky Mountains and the warm air from the Gulf. And the first tornado hit in Texas. It was that night of the October 17th. And Texas usually doesn't see many tornadoes in October. There's also one that touched down in Pensacola, Florida. It's up on the Panhandle. Also not as common. And there were 2 deaths there. In Kansas, there was a man that was driving, and the tornado hit, and he just disappeared. Nobody knows what happened to him. It's been a puzzle ever since. You know, trees knocked down, all kinds of things, and wind damage, whatever, but the man disappeared. In Indiana, they reported their first tornado from that system, but, you know, nobody died there either. So a lot of people were prepared because they knew about it so far ahead of time. And a few tornadoes also hit in Kentucky, and there was 1 death there. And October 18th, oh, let's hold on to that for a minute. I want to tell you my experience. I'll never forget that day. I got up in the morning, and I was in school, and I kept telling my friends, I feel like there's a tornado coming here. Yeah, my friend said, stop playing games. Yeah, no, I said, I'm serious. I think there's a tornado coming. And how I felt that was because of the cold air was coming at the same time as the warm air, and the kids said, you know, you're full of it. So we waited until that night. The cold air came down across the top of Lake Michigan, and the warm air, picked up the energy from that system, and it kept getting worse and worse. The winds kept getting worse, and there were 7 tornadoes that hit in Michigan that night. And I went to bed at like 11 o'clock, and my staff woke me up at 11:30 and said there was a tornado warning. And I said, yes, I knew it. I knew it was coming. So I went outside to go up to the door, and my dorm person said, no, you can't go outside. Sorry, they caught me and put me in jail and made me stay in the building. So I had to go to the storm center. Anyway, Michigan was really impacted badly. Let me explain one more thing. I was really shocked, but I'm not kidding. This picture right here in the background, it was that Black Lake in northern Michigan, like, I don't know, 70 miles north of, or south of Mackinac Island, yeah, okay. And the tornado touched down right on the lake there, and they thought it was a water spout, but really it was a tornado on the lake in October in northern Michigan. It's almost like impossible. But that's a picture of it right there. This baby, this almost made me cry. Yeah, I love this story so much. This guy lives in Millington. It's kind of near Lansing. And the tornado, imagine this is his house, and the tornado came along and just knocked that house right off its foundation, and it picked the baby up. But the baby survived. A mattress flew out of the house and landed, and the baby landed right on top of the mattress and survived. And I think the baby was like 13 months old. So, oh, there's supposed to be a video?